You need Christ. Only Christ can save you. Only Christ can change your heart. Only Christ can take your heart of stone that hates children and give you a heart of flesh. I want to ask you a question that I asked the person you relieved. All she could do was smirk because she knew she really had no answer. What if a woman determined to abort her child came up here, and as she was walking up here, she goes into labor and she has her baby right here on the sidewalk, several months premature? What would you do? Would you pick up the baby and rush the baby to the hospital? Or would you pick up the baby and rush the baby inside to finish what the mother intended? Would you pick up that prematurely born baby and rush that baby to the hospital where the baby can get the care that he or she needs? Or would you pick up that baby and rush that baby inside and hand the scalpel to the abortionist so that he or she could drive that knife through the baby's heart? What would you do? Because of your pro-abortion worldview, young lady, you are either a murderer or a hypocrite, depending on what you choose. If you pick up that baby and you rush that baby to the hospital, while moments later you would have opened the door with a smile to escort the mother inside so that she could kill the baby, you are a hypocrite. And if you were to pick up that baby and rush the baby inside to finish what the mother intended, you're a murderer. Because of your worldview, even if you decided to do the right thing, you're a hypocrite by doing it. Because the only difference is the location of the baby. That's the only difference.
Thank you for your word. Thank you.
You're a murderer at heart. You're a murderer at heart, young lady, and you need Christ. So which is it, hypocrite or murderer? Which is it, young lady? If you pick up the baby and rush the baby to the hospital, you're a hypocrite. If you pick up the baby and rush the baby inside, you're a murderer. Your worldview doesn't allow for anything else. But yet you have so hardened your heart that you've deceived yourself into thinking that what you're doing is good. And the Word of God says, woe to those who call evil good and good evil. You need Christ. Your worldview does not sustain anything that is good. Your worldview is incapable of anything that is good. Because the foundation of your worldview is sin. The foundation of your worldview is a love of self and a hatred for God. And so whether you rescue the baby or murder the baby, you can do no good according to your worldview. You need Christ. You've heard the gospel multiple times. God has allowed you to hear the gospel. God has not yet called you to account, which means that God's common grace is still being poured out upon you. Turn to Christ and live. Once you've received the love and the mercy and grace of God, you will actually be able to love others. You will have a worldview that does not result in either hypocrisy or murder. You can stand for a life other than your own. Jesus said, "Greater love is no one than this, than he who lays down his life for his friends." But right now, you're willing to help mothers lay down the lives of their children for convenience sake. That's not love. That's hatred. And that's your heart. And my heart was as wicked and depraved and loveless as yours. But thanks be to God for his indescribable gift in that while I was yet a sinner, Christ died for me, an ungodly, sinful man. And I can only love you and share this loving truth with you because Christ first loved me. Turn to Christ and live while God has given you time.